Kyle stinks. Prick. Who's Rob Burdak? Is that your name? It's here. We're here.
I only asked that because I didn't get to put my hand up
Wait.
last year, and I get to do it this year, so now I can. My name's Chris. I run a website called gamesindustry.biz. My name's Chris. I run a website called gamesindustry.biz. And
My
I'm
name's
joined
Chris.
by some of
Press
Rare's
video.
finest. We have.
Oh, look at him! See how
have
small his
Johnny.
feet are compared to his trousers.
Executive producer and the world's most popular name for a digital monkey, that I'm told. We have, I think this is right, we have head of video and creator engagement, John McFarlane, aka the guy that monkey puked on. We have legendary composer and the nicest guy in video games, Robin Beanland. Yeah. That's great. We've got the second nicest guy in video games, and design director Mike Chapman. And finally, we have YouTuber extraordinaire, Beardageddon, who I believe is his actual name. Welcome to all of them. Welcome. To begin with, we've got a new update that's just come out, and I believe we're in the. You've been doing these new monthly releases. Please do grab a mic. How has that transition to the monthly releases been going?
I don't know, we've got some of our team here, we could ask them, actually. They look quite tired. But no, so it's been really good. We're still trying to find the right balance, just in terms of kind of velocity of what we're delivering and kind of team health and everything. But from a player-facing perspective, it's been absolutely awesome, right? Like, as players ourselves, it's a super cool thing every month, right? It comes around so quick.
I think the opportunity to have that chance to speak to the community once a month, we're putting out a trailer, we're putting out a new set of patch notes, and that's going to have little lore teasers in there, there's new little social features, there's just that stream of bug fixes that we're trying to get into the game. I think having that opportunity and not going dark again, that you always know that every month there's going to be that drop of content from Sea of Thieves, and it's something to look forward to. It's that note in the diary that you know something's coming for Sea of Thieves, and absolutely from a player's perspective, it feels right. It feels like what we should be doing. I think behind the scenes, making sure that that's sustainable for the team, and we can still build the features that we're not just keeping players busy. It's about, we also want to move towards the next transformative step for Sea of Thieves. So we're taking those baby steps each month, and there's going to be features that are taking the game to the next level. It's not just a drip of content. It's things that are going to transform the game, drive more social encounters, bring players together, bring new players to the game. Monthly feels right.
How does it feel from a streamer and player's perspective, Beard?
Yeah.
I call you Beard?
Well, it's my name, so of course.
Good.
From a streamer and gamer's perspective, it's definitely good seeing the game grow and seeing it develop and seeing kind of, as these new ways to interact with people, as the game kind of adds new features in each month, knowing that those features are going to be there moving forward and seeing how that's going to not only enrich new players' experiences, but enrich people who have been playing the game for a long time as well. Yeah, it's really good. And it's definitely a highlight on everyone's calendar, knowing that this monthly update is, especially with this one with the Fort of the Damned, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, let's talk about the Fort of the Damned. There's quite a lot of new things in it. Loads of new cosmetics, emotes, random pirate captains, a banjo, not the banjo, the fort itself, ritual skull missions, dual sloops in the arena. How's that going down? Is there anything surprising you about it?
I think the core of that update, I mean, as you said there, there's a bunch of stuff in there that's just enriching the whole game, but the core of it, of Fort of the Damned, is obviously that fort experience. And the idea of taking this physical object, the ritual skull, to a fort and transforming the experience, and obviously that dynamic in there with using the lantern lights, it's trying to capture some of that magic that we had at launch when forts were less common. They were every 3 hours, and when that cloud was up, it pulled everyone together on the server, and that drove cooperation, it drove conflict, and it was trying to get back to the magic of that, but have the extra dynamic of players can now spawn forts, and that is something you'll see us dig more into. as we go forward. The idea of people changing their experience by using these quest objects, if you will. But just the core social magic of what Fort the Damned represents, that we hoped it would land really well. And it, like, early signs are like it like seeing some fantastic stories shared on Reddit, shared on Twitter, shared on our forums. Like, it seems like it's going down really well.
Yeah, and we actually had a really healthy process in terms of insider testing, right? So I don't know if you were involved in kind of giving feedback on the insider side of things, but
I avoid the insider because I like the surprise.
likes the surprise, yeah. So, but we actually got some really good feedback when we were putting it through about the loot and stuff, and it was actually, that was what triggered us to put in the Athena chest, right? The kind of chest of legends.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, the kind of the balance of not only the difficulty, but how much loot is on offer. I mean, that's a critical part of it really acting like that catalyst for stories. It truly is pulling the server together, getting that balance of loot right. And I think we definitely pitched it too conservatively, and trying to get that feedback that you guys should just go for it. Just go for broke, add that Athena's chest. And honestly, it did feel uncomfortable, but absolutely the right call.
And I think it's not just loot from the fort itself, it's just loot in the world. Like, as soon as you know that there are those, there are more ships going around the world with loot on there, it gives more opportunities for players to have these amazing stories where they come across other ships that have Athena's chests on. Obviously they do from the Athena's missions, but when there's more of that going around, when there's more Reaper's chests going around, like Reaper's chests were absolutely amazing back in the update before, so yeah, it was cool seeing all that stuff come back.
And seeing like the, as soon as you see that Fort of the Damned skull drop, and then you see those Reaper's chests on somebody's ship, and you see that ship moving, and you know it's not just Reaper's chest they've got, but they have that Athena as well. That's like the ultimate prize. Everybody wants that Athena's chest. So,
and
yeah,
just while we're on that subject, I'd actually like to take this opportunity to thank Aaron and Steve, that's in the audience. They worked on Fort of the Damned.
Put your hands on.
Oh.
Stand up, come on.
Well done, guys. Incredible job. No, but I think like it's so amazing to have that team where people are obviously working so hard building content for players, and then they're here representing the team today, just in the audience. Like absolute testament to like the culture we've got at Rare and like how we want to build our stuff. So like, thanks guys, great job.
Have you seen any interesting stories play out at all in the? It's early days. I know it's early days.
My favourite Reddit post so far has been, because you've got the skull cloud with the red eyes, and obviously you've got the normal skull cloud, and someone managed to capture a screenshot where basically you had the big skull cloud with the red eyes in front of a normal one. It was like, don't talk to my son ever again kind of meme. It was just genuinely amazing, like with the timing of the shot.
There's been a few like server-wide alliances. I mean, that's a great thing to see where, I mean, we were trying to kind of create that atmosphere with just the difficulty and how it's balanced. So even if you are, for example, a solo slooper and you're there on the fort, the difficulty is balanced in a way that if you see that white gamer tag above their head, you don't have that, you know, I know I'm going to dispatch them. There's that pull to work together, and seeing that at scale out there with their players, just the server working together to profit from this, it's a microcosm of exactly what Sea of Thieves is. It's social magic bringing players together.
it's also the use of the fog around the fort as well. If you are that solo player, and all of a sudden a galleon and a sloop and a brig roll up on you that are in an alliance, I can say from past-hand experience, it's pretty scary, man. It's pretty exciting times.
It's great to watch as well, because when you're seeing the ship kind of rolling up on it, they've no idea who's going to be there, right? Like, I love that part of the design. I think it's super smart.
Right, I've not played it. I'm looking forward to. Well, the whole Sea of Thieves is the whole pitch of it. I mean, you've seen your catchphrase is players creating stories together. How does that actually? It seems to be completely influencing all your thinking. But how does it influence your thinking when it comes to designing new mechanics, features, events, that sort of thing?
That's a great question. I mean, obviously the game has a great degree of, like, you've just got so much freedom in the mechanics anyway. And a great example would be, it's about giving people the pieces to make their own gameplay, whether that's through the musical instruments, the tools for humour. It's not about enforcing a certain way of play. We're just handing these mechanics over to the world, and like we hope things are going to pan out like in it the way we've designed it. But we constantly get surprised by our players. That tools not rules approach is absolute core of how we design features, and sometimes it's about what you don't design rather than what you do design. Like the whole thing of, I mean, it's an example we've used for many years, but the whole idea of once you get a chest on board or once you get a quest object on board, there's no specific place to put it. You could hide it, you could leave it on islands, you could hide it in a bush and come back. All of that is just a small ingredient that makes that shared world fresh. And every feature that we add in the game, whether it's the Reaper's chest, whether it's the fort, it's designed with the same mentality that you might do that fort experience or that quest many, many times, but the experience that you have is going to be different and unique every time. And I think that is the reason why we're still passionate. That is the reason why we're all still playing that game, is because you never know what to expect, and that is, we've just got to stay true to that design philosophy.
And Robin, like I heard you talking about this in the panel earlier, actually, but like how you design music and kind of what you have to almost take away the things that you would normally do to kind of generate emotions in players or something like around ship battles, that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, our first sort of brief was, don't infer an emotion that's not happening, which is quite a hard thing for a composer to deal with. But so an example of that is when we had sort of ships coming together, I wrote some ship battle music, and I think you said, well, the players might not be wanting to shoot cannons at each other, or they just might want to rock up and play shanties to each other. So we stripped that music right back to, if you fire a cannon and your cannonball hits another ship, then you and you alone will get a musical sting, and the rest of the crew won't hear it. And it just gives you that bit of feedback, whether you meant to do it or not. You still did it, so you get a bit of music. But we've stripped everything back so that just not to infer any kind of emotion and not try and lead the gameplay anyway. Just leave it to the players to do what they want to do.
Thank you, Joe, for asking my next question. Well, the day I became a pirate legend, which is, you know, there's a few things I'm proud of. Yeah. My crew are actually in the audience. All four of us, we were repeatedly attacked by this one-person sloop, and it was probably crewed by the best player we've ever seen.
Was it Beard?
Oh no, it was a she. It was a woman, and she completely destroyed us, absolutely destroyed us, and then realised that she didn't mean to attack us. She thought it was someone else. Felt bad about it. Gave us all our treasure back, and then just took us on an adventure. I wasn't a pirate legend at the time. Took us on these Athena missions. We had an amazing time. Really weird things that we did, and it was probably the best 5 hours on a Saturday I'd ever spent. But that's my story, and it's quite not that exciting. But you guys must have heard some really amazing. I mean, Beardageddon, your actual name.
I have a couple that come to mind. One of my favourite ones was I spent about probably about 2.5 hours once battling it's another solo slooper, and it's the only it's the only other solo sleeper I've ever come up against who's lasted that long against me. And it got to the point where we'd fought each other for so long that neither of us had any planks, neither of us had any cannonballs, had no supplies left. And at this point, we just looked at each other. We literally stopped our sloops, looked at each other, and just went, what are we doing? Like, this fight is amazing. And it ended up that me and him became pretty good mates. He's actually one of my subscribers right now. He hangs out with me. He plays my sub nights with me. And he's somebody who I've met through the game. And it's those experiences in Sea of Thieves which separate it from any other game. It's the ability to have this fight that lasts for so long that you end up building this respect for a person, stop, and then say, actually, do you know what? Let's just be friends instead.
I love your story as well, the little French kid that you met, honestly. Like, that was one of my favourite clips I've ever seen. Like, talk us through that.
So basically, whenever I meet a new pirate, I try and help them out in any way I can. I don't just like to attack people. I have this pirate code. I don't fire unless they fire first. I don't attack people. I help people out wherever I can. I try and engage with them. And I met this young pirate who boarded my ship. And generally, if someone boards your ship, as far as I'm concerned, that's it. You kill them. Like, there's a pretty unwritten rule, right? And I thought I'd give this the benefit of the doubt. And it turned out to be probably, I would say, no older than a 7-year-old young French pirate who didn't speak any English and was the most adorable young French pirate that you could ever imagine. And I ended up helping him out, gave him a skull, ended up going over to his ship where I'm pretty sure his parents had like guns trained on me the whole time, expecting me to rob them. And yeah, he ended up being so adorable. And by the end of this experience, I kind of done everything I could to help them, and I knew it was time to leave. And I explained to them with the very, very limited French that I knew that it was time for me to leave, just to hear this little sad French kid go, no. And it was heartbreaking, man. I think Joe pretty much unfollowed me on Twitter at that point. That was it. It was over.
Do you have any more stories that you remember or seen or experienced?
I think the last play session I had comes to mind, and this is, we don't the way the world events kind of interact with each other. It's very much, they're kind of balanced individually, but we don't control how they interact with each other because we deliberately want to have these moments where you see something you feel like you've never seen before. And there's this, like, I allied with a brigantine at the Fort of the Damned, and we'd split the loot from the Athena's chest on board, the Reaper's chest and the gunpowder kegs, heading back to the outpost and sailed into the fog. Got attacked by the Kraken. Then the Megalodon arrived, and then we had a 2-sloop ambush from skeletons. And then another sloop came to attack us. And so this is happening in the fog, and the storm was approaching at the same time. It was, in all the years of playing Sea of Thieves, I've never seen those emergent systems come together in that way, and it was one of those memorable sessions. And it was that paranoia that we were going to kind of betray each other. We just completely went exactly the way he described. We built that bond by going through this horror of a situation together, and yeah, we felt like we'd known each other for years after that. It was an unforgettable session.
So for me, it's when we do the weekly streams from the studio, and during some of the earlier ones, there was this guy called Weejow, who would like, who would get into our stream, and so like, because of all the different cosmetics we've released, you can basically make yourself look a bit like Ronald McDonald, the clown. So like with the face paint and the colouring stuff. And this guy, like Weejow, is unbelievably good at the game, like at PvP and stuff. And so moves so quickly and darts around. And so basically it's like you're in your own horror movie where you're just being stalked by this killer clown. And you cannot defeat him, you cannot you cannot get away. And there was just this moment, wasn't there, when I was swimming back towards our ship from a fort or something, and I was like, God, where is he? I think I've got away. I think I've got away. And then, I think I was carrying an explosive barrel, wasn't I? And he just appeared from behind a rock, just like in a horror movie, like this guy, just this floating clown. And I was just like, uh-oh, and I'm holding an explosive barrel like this, and it was like one shot, bang, I'm dead. And like you could almost hear the laughter from this like cackling clown in the distance. Honestly, it's like, it's amazing. But that's what players have done, just with the costumes, just with the face paint, and then just becoming this terrifying killer clown, basically, yeah.
Is that Slender Pirate? Is that what you were playing?
Basically, yeah. It's like, I have nightmares about that shit, honestly. Like,
I like, the one that always comes to mind is, again, the weekly stream stuff that we're doing, but the chocolatey cake.
Chocolatey cake.
Who we met.
That's a person, by the way, rather than a snack.
Not a snack.
Might be a snack, I don't know. But
we met in the wilds on a tiny resource island that was in the middle of the wilds. And he was just there, just by himself, no ship around, just on this island. Come across this like loner there on the island and doesn't speak. Gets on our ship and is there for the entire session, and the entire session was all about protecting chocolatey cake, like so that he didn't die and just respawn somewhere else in the world. But that kind of idea of the stowaway and someone getting on your ship, and even though they're not communicating with you, it's like you build this like bond with the person that's on there, was amazing.
But he did get knocked off the ship and we never saw him again. Yeah.
I have a slightly more sinister version of this story, which I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this or not. If I find AFK pirates, I basically try and steal them with the harpoon, and I basically kidnap them and try and take them onto my sloop, and then sail to somebody else, take them onto a harpoon onto the rowboat, and then, yeah, basically try and take them away with me for as long as I can. It ended up a little while ago that I did this, and I managed to sort of basically human traffic somebody with me, and in a nice way, like in a lovely...
Is that a crime?
No. It's virtual, it's fine. So I basically took this guy away, and he kind of all of a sudden came back, and you saw the instant moment where he either got his mouse or picked up his Xbox controller, where all of a sudden he span around like, where the hell am I? Went to try and kill me, and instead of killing me, I managed to convince him that we should be friends, took him with me to be friends, and the first fight I got in, I was like, I hope this guy doesn't die. First cannonball shot straight to the face. That was it. It was over. That friendship did not last.
So I'm going to try this. Does anyone want to share their Sea of Thieves story? Does anyone have a Sea of Thieves story they'd like to share? Just put your hand up. Does anyone have one?
Come on.
Oh,
yeah.
we have
Yes,
one
don't
over
be shy.
here.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. Right, so a little while back we were doing a fort, rocked up on the fort. There was 2 brigs there, 2 sloops, and we came up in a galleon. So we said, look, we're not going to fight. Let's just do this fort, get the loot, and we'll share it between us. Anyway, fighting away, the boss comes up, and this one goes, don't worry guys, I've got this. Runs at him with a barrel. Everyone was around this boss at the time except me. He dies, the skeleton lord dies, I think I've got an opportunity here. Grab the key, run back to the galley and say, right, we've got to get out of here now. Literally got, I don't know, barely any distance from the fort. The Kraken turns up. So, and they're all, you can hear, see them typing and shouting, where's the key, where's the key? 3 of them board our boat, running around our boat. We've managed to hide the key on the boat. They're running around looking for it. In the meantime, they've all gone back to their thing. We've defeated the Karen, sailed away. And then, like, we've come back for, right, we'll give it an hour and we'll go back and get this loot. Give it an hour, come back. Every one of them was laying asleep somewhere on this island waiting for us to come back. And luckily, like, we managed to get away with the loot, but it was a bit of a fight. But it was enjoyable, really enjoyable.
Oh,
Love it. I love, though, that, like, players will spend an hour just waiting in Sea of Thieves. It's like when we look at our average play time, like average play sessions, and it's like, it's that kind of stuff, right? Like, they just spend so long in the world, right? And just, you'll happily be that patient. I love that. It's awesome.
To be fair, Hatch takes that average up quite a lot.
Anyone else want to share a story? Oh, we have a couple.
I love this. Doing our job for us is awesome.
So it's a very short one. It's basically the one time on the season, we've been playing the game since launch, and it finally came across me versus Beardageddon on a Galleon versus him and Toe Jam. Just by the way, we wrecked you, sorry.
Nice. Literally drops the mic. Nice.
In my defense, I was drunk and Toe Jam brought the average down a lot, man. I would have taken you solo, but Toe Jam wrecked me, man.
Do you have any more? Anyone else want to share a story? Oh, is somebody at the back? Is there yet? So somebody at the front. I missed.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Nice hat.
Thanks. So, me and my brother had just finished the Gold Hoarder mission, and I'll go off for dinner whilst he's sailing back to the outpost. In that time, lucky I was streaming, so I managed to get it on film. He got attacked by the Kraken whilst the skeleton ship decided to mosey on over and start attacking him. He got picked off the ship, and he got yeeted off the ship into a Kraken's mouth. And I came back to nothing.
Is it a story?
The lady...
We'll tell one more.
Yeah, just that.
I was playing with my first crew a long time ago when the game first came out. And we came up towards this island and we saw a sloop. And instead of attacking it, we just snuck up quietly behind them. And 2 of my crewmates went up in the front of the ship with each their lantern, started flicking them on and off and going, babu, 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 this is the police. And we started having fun with this boy and his dad that was on the sloop and started giving them basically everything we had on board, only for the father to actually write us afterwards and saying that he was playing with his son, who was a cancer patient, and we basically saved his day. And that was absolutely my favorite part of the game, was just interacting with this boy.
That's an amazing story. Thanks so much for sharing. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, that is a fantastic story. I think that's a good one to stop those stories on. You're constantly pushing this social dynamic in Sea of Thieves. What areas are you looking to expand upon in terms of that? Can you tease anything?
Sea of Tease.
Leaky, mate.
Right then. No. But I think one thing I will say, and I'm going to be critical of the game now, which is there's still this thing in Sea of Thieves. Obviously, we talked about this many years ago, the idea of every ship on the horizon, you don't know who it is, you don't know whether they're going to be a threat, you don't know whether they're going to cooperate with you. But there is this kind of let your conscience be your guide kind of feel to Sea of Thieves, which is, I think, if you all kind of are truly honest with yourselves, I think when you're attacking another ship, there's still that deep down, that pang of, what if it's a father with his son? What if it's a family and they're just doing tall tales? What if it's someone's first time in the game? So the game is promising this pirate fantasy of letting loose a broadside and fighting other ships and having those epic moments, but we're still not letting you truly enjoy it because you don't know enough about who you're attacking. So I think heightening that social magic will rely on allowing people to role play as different things in the world. So the idea that, for example, you could progress faster and have a different experience if you were, for example, to role play fully as a gold hoarder, as a merchant, as the Order of Souls, as other trading companies, and people would look at your ship and they'd go, that's a merchant ship, that's a treasure ship. So having interplay between the companies and letters of marque against them, and the idea that alliances would form for a purpose. It's not just this ad hoc thing. The idea that people are coming together more overtly in conflict and cooperation. And I think that, and especially that idea of that pirate legend, the idea that pirate legends have that access to the hideout, and they've almost got that celebrity status so they can open it for other people. But trying to tap more into that. So if you have progressed a certain way with a trading company, you've got something other people don't have. And so they want to ally with a gold hoarder, they want to ally with a merchant. I think that is something we're looking at now. The idea of, well, we're calling it trading company emissaries at the moment, but the idea of role-playing in the world and people coming together in new and interesting ways.
So you're kind of opting into a higher risk thing, but then people will be able to kind of see that. And so you've opted into something high risk, and it means that, like, if they attack you, like, they don't feel guilty because they know that you're doing this thing and you're more likely to have more loot.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can play the game that you're playing now. So you can just sail in the world and not choose to fly any flag, not choose to represent. But the fact that, exactly as Joe says, you're opting into more profitable voyages, a smoother way of play. The people that don't opt in can fly under the radar a little bit. So when you see that ship and you go, that's a treasure ship, we can take them down, because they've opted into that. They've opted into make themselves vulnerable to that. And I think that is going to transform the way people interact in the world.
Ooh, Beardageddon's nodding his head enthusiastically.
I just like the idea of getting loot.
Of other people, basically.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Beardageddon, sorry, what would you like to see? What would you like to see? You're a big player.
Generally, when it comes to social interactions and stuff, like these guys they've got it. They know how to develop the game socially, and I trust what they're doing and stuff like that. Personally, I'd like to see more AI threats in the world and more ways for crews to interact with each other to defeat AI threats. Going back to the Megalodon, for example, the Hungering Deep, one of the best experiences in any games ever. Something so different to what any game had ever offered, and the idea that you had to build an alliance with other crews to take it out, or defeat it solo if you can, of course.
So humble brag.
But no, the idea of working with other crews to defeat these emergent threats, I think, is really, really good. And I think moving forward, having more of those threats that take more of a combined experience, more crews together to defeat them would be incredible. And it would definitely drive players together as well if there was a way that there was a boss that they had to work together to defeat. There's no other way to do it other than that.
I think that was the best part about Hungering Deep. And obviously we built a lot of content over the last kind of year and a bit, but I think for me that the magic of how players came together in Hungering Deep to not only summon the Megalodon, but to then defeat it. We've done a lot of things like that, but it's never been as kind of crystallized and pure as that experience. And I'd love to, we're definitely planning things that will deliver that feeling again.
That was still, for me, one of the best moments I've ever had in any game. Was, I think there were 9 or 11 of us. I can't remember exactly how many of us there were at the time, but there was a lot of us on a galleon, and we basically decided to pull all of our resources together. And just having this one French guy, as soon as the Meg came out, he was the only one to see it, and it was the first time any of us had seen the Meg jump out of the water. And just to hear this French guy cuss in, I'm assuming he was cussing in French, like very, very loudly, and like that sheer shock in his voice to see something like that was just, it was a really, really good experience.
What about the audience? Is there anything you'd like to see? They're here. Let's pitch. Does anyone have? Oh, we've got a chap here.
Hi guys.
Hello.
So I sail with my crew every night, and we have great times, great fun all the time. But some of the best times that we've had is when we've managed to get onto separate ships, and we can actually duel each other. Because I don't normally get to kill these guys at all. So. Have you ever considered a player setting where you can allow your crew to hurt you, so you could have that duel and have that fun all the time?
I mean, that's actually where the game started. In our early prototype, that's exactly how it worked. Part of moving the game from a prototype to something that would work at scale with players was trying to remove all the ways that could potentially be abused, where you'd troll each other. So we started building reasons that you had to work together. That surfaced in things like you had the physical quest objects. You had to protect the person carrying it. Like you needed that person to get it back to the ship. All the rewards were shared, so it kind of drove that way of thinking. However, the idea of supporting that where it's not on all the time, it's something that the crew opt into. So if you've got a group of friends and that's how you choose to play, we could absolutely support that. Yes.
Any more ideas? Oh, couple.
One of the really fun things I did one time was we met up with lots of people and got several galleons and went around as like a whole fleet, absolutely trashing people. But then whenever one of them got sank, it would be teleported off across the map, and we wondered if we could possibly get a way to have fleets within the game. Several join up and not respawn apart from all the other ships.
Fleets.
Yeah.
Sorry,
more than one
once you're
galleon.
allied, if one of your ships sinks as an allied, they should spawn closer generally, shouldn't they, an ally?
They weren't necessarily allies. People we just met in the game.
It might be a bit OP, right?
It was.
No,
Yeah,
but like
it was
genuinely, if
OP.
they keep respawning next to you, then it's a bit like. I think that's probably the main concern for me on that front. I think.
It is. The other idea with the alliances was that we always want that risk that you are going to turn your back on those players. We don't want it to be a solid relationship. It's a very loose, nebulous thing that could break down at any moment, and that's why, apart from the loot being shared and you've got the two flags up, that's as far as we intended to go with it. We didn't want to kind of change the spawn rules.
Any more?
I was thinking just now that you could add a book to the game and then you can write things in it and then give it to another player so then they know what you're trying to say if they don't have an Xbox Connect. And the other thing that I was going to say was if you dig a hole in the ground and you put a chest on it, it will take it into the ground and then you'll get a map automatically and it will say the island that it's on and it will mark where it is on where the chest is and then you can come and pick it up and get it again.
Do you want a job? Right.
We'll do a swap. We'll swap. It's a nice idea.
That is a nice idea.
But like, honestly, super cool ideas, though, right? And like, yeah, I love the idea as well of actually, if you can create your own treasure map and hand it to someone else to find, or they can steal it off you, right? Like,
I think just generally as well, like the idea that as we create more content and moving Sea of Thieves forward, and of course we're going to be adding new tall tales, and we want to refresh the voyage and add more quest types. But I think, like mid to long term, the idea of giving players more tools to create their own stories. So you can essentially be a quest creator yourself, and you can, like real pirates, right? You bury the treasure, and then it's a challenge for somebody else to find it. Like, absolutely love that idea. I think that's definitely got a future in Sea of Thieves.
And writing a journal.
Like players could make their own tall tales.
Yeah. Any more ideas?
Are you planning on adding new weapons for different playstyles? So say a dagger that attacks faster but is much weaker than a cutlass?
Yes.
Cool. Any more? I will. Look. Paul Graham.
To be able to vote people off to like walk the plank.
Walk the plank.
Like you can put people in jail cells.
That's an interesting story, and I won't ramble on for too long. But you could say that walking the plank as a way to deal with people to get them off the crew is like that's the most priority thing we could do. What we wanted to avoid, though, and why the brig exists, was we didn't want the idea of putting someone basically dealing with a trolling player to be too much of a reward, and that was our concern with walking the plank. It was, if you could have that moment anytime you wanted, it was going to lead to more crew disharmony, because you'd be putting people in there that you'd be making people walk the plank that didn't deserve to, because
it's funny.
It's hilarious, and it would basically tear crews apart. So yes, people can role play and walk the plank, but I think it's quite risky to add that because it would definitely be abused.
Any other ideas? Oh, we've got all over the place.
Okay, so since Forsaken Shores came out, have you thought about extending the map even further at any point?
Yeah. No, I'm not going to pull that trick again. Yes, we have. I think what we don't want to do is have it where the world feels less dense because the ships are too spread apart. So obviously that means you've got to increase the number of ships that are there, which might make choke points like outposts more dangerous. So there's a lot of considerations there in terms of world design. However, like, there's other ways to get regions into the game that don't involve going outwards. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Any more ideas?
Hi there, guys. I was just wondering, there's a pretty core mechanic of the game which it does seem quite simple, but so fundamental to the game, and that is the sailing mechanic. It does seem overly simple, and you can, for instance, you can sail directly head on into the wind, which you shouldn't be able to do. Like, really, I was just wondering if you've any plans to maybe enhance the sailing?
So, like, my perspective on this is, like, we actually initially prototyped the doldrums, and there's a reason that down in the doldrums is a saying, because it's really fucking shit. Like, like, when you're just sat still and you can't move, it's genuinely depressing. So, so we genuinely did try it, right? Like, with the wind, it would, like, literally stop you, and we were like, because it's already annoying enough when you're heading straight into the wind, and it's like, it seems like it's always, right? Whichever way you're going, the wind's in your face.
Yeah,
But,
again, it...
Yeah, so yeah, we prototyped it, but I'm not convinced it's the right way to go.
I think we always live by the rule of believable but not realistic. That's another one of our kind of creative principles, and it's about delivering the fantasy of sailing. Like, we often got the question, like, did we go sail a bunch of ships and do some research? Like, not at all. We didn't at all. And I think that was the right thing to do, because I think we would have come to the subject kind of loaded with a different way to do it. And I think that naivety is what's made the sailing mechanics approachable. And I think, like, it makes it, it's a cool mechanic. It allows you to react in different ways, and that just core cooperation. That was where we started. We agonised over those sailing mechanics. And I think, for exactly the reason Joe mentioned, I think we're really happy with where they are.
And I think despite the game having fairly simple sailing mechanics, there's a big difference
Link
between people who know how to sail and people
Mic
who don't.
off.
Being able to use things like the harpoon, for example, definitely puts you above other players, and being able to angle your sails and take yourself smoothly around islands that you can... There's definitely like a big skill gap with the sailing that maybe when you're used to the game you don't see as much, but it definitely, in my opinion, it is there anyway.
How long do I have, Graham? How many? 5 minutes. Okay. Any more ideas? Oh, look at that.
Just on with these ships themselves, I mean, at the moment you've obviously got the 3 types of ships, and you know, it's easy to spot, but I'm wondering if you're ever going to add a variety of style to the boats. For example, is it going to be like a Far East style of ship, or maybe more continental kind? Just something that kind of mixes up the look when you're sailing around.
Yeah, I mean, out of all of the kind of investment in features, I think the ships themselves, from the level design, the placement of features, just the buoyancy and how it interacts with the waves. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's really fulfilling work, and obviously, it's your home in the game. It's where you spend all your adventures. In terms of different looks, like, we have looked at it, and there's definitely some things that I think wouldn't suit Sea of Thieves, but definitely the core gameplay of the galleon, but different looking galleons. It's something we are talking about, but like, nothing to confirm.
I have a question, not an idea. Okay. Is the Grey Lady of Crooks Hollow real?
What do you think?
I don't really know.
I call it the person with a chicken nose.
We love that there's a ghost story like this in Sea of Thieves. Don't we?
I would say keep spending time on Crooks Hollow. I think the secret will slowly be unveiled. That's all I'll say.
Ooh.
Do we have... Oh, we have...
Have you ever thought about being able to put bounties on other players? Like a galleon that's too good to fight, so you put a bounty on them and other ships can go fight them?
So, part of what I was talking about earlier with the idea of people role-playing as different trading companies in the world, part of that is us, at the moment, designing what a more PvP-focused trading company would look like.
Turn his mic off. Spoilers.
the idea of a player bounty system and basically the idea of player ships as boss ships in the world. I mean, just that as a creative concept. The idea that based on certain activity in the world, your status would change and you become more of a target for other players. Like we've always tried to find the right version of a player bounty system in Sea of Thieves, and I think we found it, and we are working on it.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that you'll be super
Charging
interested in,
battery.
right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Link
But I think
established.
that generally,
Mic
it's
off.
a great idea, and it's something that I would love to see. But it's trying to find the balance and trying to find ways that people wouldn't necessarily manipulate that to kind of benefit other players.
Yeah.
I've played other games before where there have been bounty systems, and what's to stop somebody with 1 million gold putting a bounty on someone with no gold, for example? So I think as long as you can get that balance, I think it could be a really fundamentally great aspect of the game.
But part of the advantage of the monthly release as well is we can start putting in little teases for where we want to take the game in the future. There's actually a bunch of stuff in the game at the moment that we've slowly been trickling in with certain characters and mass strangers, where that's all going to lead to this potential PvP trading company. So the clues are there now, and that story is slowly unfolding.
What about fire? Do you want to put fire into the game?
Nah. They've stopped working on that.
Yeah.
It's cut. We cut it. It's over.
Time for two more. Two more.
You asked us what we'd like to see. We'd like to see the shrouded ghost.
The what?
So would
Shrouded
I.
ghost.
Is that a thing?
The myth.
Is that the ghost on Crux Hollow?
Yeah.
No idea what that is.
And one more.
Hey guys, I think we're all wondering as well, me personally, when is the game coming to Switch?
When I find the shrouded ghost.
I think that's unlikely, unfortunately. But you can play on xCloud, corporate shill hat. But so if you want that portable experience, xCloud is currently in its. Is it beta? Is that what it's called? Yeah. But so get signed up as well, because I think we're rolling that out as well to people in our Insider program, right? So we've got some people in our Insider program that are getting on xCloud, and we've seen really good feedback around it. So corporate shill hat off.
Before I wrap up, Joe, at Res in April, March, whenever it was, you teased something from Robin regarding music. Is there anything that you? Is anything going on with that?
Yes. The soundtrack is coming. Yeah, it's going
to be quite special, though, isn't it?
It's going to be quite special. And I think that the easy thing would have been just to turn the sound effects down and just record a load of the music out, because it's all that sort of interactive, the way it's all put together. I wanted to do sort of a bit more of an authored and a bit more of something that just didn't feel like it was phoned in. I wanted to sort of and I am working on it, but I'm also working on the game as well. So there's quite a lot of it done so far, and there's something else which I'm not going to talk about. And that's it.
Well, there we are. That's our last.
You're going to
tease.
tell a story with the music, aren't you, Robin?
Yeah.
Very much so.
Well,
it's going to be very, very cool. So, like with everything that we do with Sea of Thieves, we always go one level above, but that means it always takes longer than we want. So,
well, thank you to the audience, but thank you to the panel as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I say before we leave, everybody in the audience, Liz here has kindly said that she would do a draw for props that she's made here. If everyone could stick around after, if they want to put their name in, or if they want to see who gets drawn from the hat, or the bucket, I should say.
and also, I want to take a photo with everyone, and you've got to give us your best pirate pose and stuff, right? So after 3, get involved.
Well, it's ready?
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
That was... Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, guys.
Wow, there we go, chat. that was that. Waited all day for that, and you've had it. And on that note, I need to go because I've got like you know, a life, and I have to sort out kids and things, and we will host that douche we call Toe Jam. So if you could all go in there and put hashtag POS, that would be beautiful. And I will catch you pork chops later on. Goodbye.
How? Point blank Blundy. Sword hit, sword dash. How? Is that you, Droopy? Is that you? Oh, wow, yeah, that's definitely Droopy. Piece of shit. You piece of shit. Dead again. Oh, yeah, okay, alright. Well, whatever, pal. Whatever. I just tweeted out to Beard, by the way, chat, if you're interested. Thank you for the drop in the raid here, Droopy. Fuck. Good. This is my most favorite raid. Right. Who owns Twitch? Let me just get them done for brigade. Is it called brigading? Let me just check. Oh, it's Beard done. Okay, well, Beard's getting banned. I'm just. Hey guys, welcome. I'm
the conductor of the poop train!
Days, bruh. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Do they need to